let me know.
No, this is great. This is great.
English is my second language, so.
Okay, yeah, no problem. That's really interesting what you said. I think from our interviews with families, one of the biggest takeaways that we heard was how involved guidance was. And it was that I'm like, when you said we do a lot behind the scenes, well, yeah, you've interviewed, family, not you personally, but guidance counselors have been interviewing, and working with the students in basically every one of our family that we've interviewed. So it's just made us thinking, there's so much time committed to students from guidance. So, yeah, that was one of the biggest reasons why we wanted to reach out.
And especially during COVID, because we're doing everything virtually, you trust me, emails would come in at 7 a.m. They would probably end at midnight and something 3, like it was just ongoing.
Yeah.
So there was a lot there.
Yeah. No, for sure. Can I just get a little bit of background about the context in which you're working? So you don't have to name the board, but if you want to give us, we won't use the name anyway. Just so we have a sense of where geographically you are in Ontario.
I don't mind. I can tell you this. Okay. I work for the Toronto Catholic District School Board.
Toronto Catholic, okay, yeah.
Scarborough High School.
Okay, yep. And so how big is your high school, and how many guidance counselors do you have working in your department?
Our school right now,
like ballpark,
just above 800.
Okay.
We used to be about 1,000, and we used to have, for 1,000 students, we used to have 3 full-time guidance counselors. Now, because of a variety of cuts and a variety of restructuring, we have 800 students with 2 full-time guidance counselors.
Okay, 800 students, 2 full-time. Okay.
Right, and because I'm the department head, and because the other guidance counselor was brand new, I was taking care of. I was doing 450 kids, and she was doing 350 kids.
Right.
And now what happens is that there's she's become a vice principal, so there's like retraining for somebody else.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. And you said it was high school, right?
Correct.
Correct. So grade 9 to grade 12. Okay. All right. Okay, that's helpful. That kind of gives us a sense of, because a lot of the families we've been speaking to were grade 8 and we're moving into high school. And then we talked to a few families that were grade 10. So we were interviewing families grade 8, grade 10, grade 12 to kind of talk through those kind of the project called critical transitions, because thinking about that grade 8 to the grade 9 change, and then grade 10 to grade 11, then grade 12 and on to post-secondary. Excellent. So thank you. So one of the things with institutional ethnographies is that it really is attempting to underscore the role the system plays in how students make their way through school. So it's kind of heartbreaking to hear that there's a core group of employees or personnel working in schools that feel like they're taking on the brunt of what we would say is a system issue, not a guidance issue. And so, one of the questions that we ask in this work is, so what was made available to you through your school or through your system, to learn about pathways? So were you given particular texts to read, policies to review, workshops to attend, professional development, specifically looking at understanding the pathways?
Yes. So basically, when I first got into guidance, I got a mentor who had been in guidance for a long time. So I got quite a few things from her. But then we also had a lot of sort of workshops and seminars and documents sent to us. We do have at the school board what we call a such and such resource teacher. For example, we had a guidance resource teacher. So she's basically the expert in guidance, or maybe the one who applied and got the job. Forget about being expert. I don't know. I'm not saying anything. So if we had any questions in particular about that, we would just sort of ask her. And we also have regular meetings once a month with department heads. And so, and it's basically anywhere between an hour to 2 hours. And it's just a forum to describe a whole bunch of different pathways and sort of share ideas about what their schools are doing, especially sharing best practices. about different programs. So yeah, like, ministry resources, everything we can get our hands on. But a lot of times, but then what happened is, personally for me, because I had only been there for a year after the whole COVID hit. It was, everything got stalled. There were no workshops. There was no professional development. It was all like, you sink or swim, and realize that if you swim, you're going to be helping kids. If you sink, they will sink too, in terms of whatever they're depending on you. So I think that the intention has always been there to sort of provide us with a lot of resources. But I think that they're so stretched. For example, there's one guidance counselor resource for the whole school board. If you know, there's about, I think there's like 31 high schools in our school board. So imagine all of these questions all the time, every single day, and all of that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it was like a lot of different policy documents from different sources, and based on those meetings. But a lot also happens when you need it. For example, I had to when I first started, we have the OYAP program, which is the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. And I do a little bit about it, but because that program only starts in second semester, I basically had to find out about it. I had to go to the right people and learn about it myself. So sometimes it's on a need basis, and but because of COVID, and because of that, we are trying to expand pathways. There's a lot more learning that happens a lot more often. So sometimes, necessity is the best teacher. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. It does. Thank you. Are there specific, so just to recap, so it sounds like you did have quite a bit of support at the before COVID. There was a lot of resource sharing that was organized by the school or by the system, to ensure best practices were shared. You did have access to a guidance resource teacher. But then when COVID hit, it just, everything, like with everything, it kind of got shut down.
Right. I mean, we still did like the whole like online workshops, whatever it is, but sure, it was not the same thing as seeing people face to face, and
of course, yeah,
making friends, and share this with me, share this with that.
Yeah, of course.
But then because COVID hit and everything was done online, it sort of like, again, it forced us, it enabled us to sort of adapt and find different ways that students can get information. So for my own school, we built a guidance website from scratch, where what we did was we added resources about different pathways. We added resources for both students and parents / guardians. We added resources for continuing education. We had a lot of resources for mental health wellness, both for students, teachers, and parents. So I'm just trying to say that, yes, we were sort of shortchanged, but that for me anyway, it enabled me to think of something else and say, okay, you know what? I have to find different ways of getting this information out. And we did. So
yeah. That's great.
If you don't mind me adding, I know we're talking about pathways and all that, but also important is that mental health wellness became a very, very big issue. It always was. It always has been. But it became even bigger during the pandemic. And this year, our school was actually awarded the Innovative Exemplary Practice Award based on the work that we did. And that involved a lot of different things, pathways and mental health wellness and student success. So I guess we did something right there. So we're very proud of that.
Sure did. Yeah, that sounds great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And that certainly mental health is certainly, was and continues to be such a critical focus for schools. Are there, and before I move off the text piece, because institutional ethnography is so text based, are there any texts that you refer to quite frequently in your work now? Like I'm thinking about like ministry documents or guidelines or information texts that you've been given by the school?
Yes. Success for All is a big one.
Like growing success, you mean?